When was the last time you used a floppy disk? Maybe sometime in the 80s, the 90s, or maybe never. Yet the floppy disk is still a fundamental part of our universal computer language. It lives on as the icon of the save command. We all know and use the save button. But why is it that it's still represented by the floppy disk, long replaced by many newer and better forms of storage? The floppy disk save button isn't the only icon that may be a little bit outdated. We describe computer functions and commands as they might be represented by functions and objects in the real world. And that goes for many things on computers. Menus, wallpapers, the scroll bar. Navigating a computer had to be simple for people, and this was greatly assisted by designing icons which represented the functions of familiar objects. These desktop icons were recognizable and familiar for people who worked in an office space. But there have always been certain limits to designing a good icon. For one, icons have to be small, but also scalable to different sized screens and resolutions. It needs to stand out, it can't be bound by text or language, and must have enough details to make it recognizable, but simple enough to be comprehensible. Possibly the most iconic of icon designers? Susan Kare. She's the woman behind many icon designs which are still reinterpreted and used today. She believes in a principle of simplicity and says, good icons are more akin to road signs rather than illustrations, and ideally should present an idea in a clear, concise, and memorable way. Since the 80s, computers have grown to be faster, more sophisticated, and with much higher resolutions. Yet, the icon still sort of stays the same. Sure, they might have changed from the very basic, pixelated black and white images to colour, to 3D, to glossy, to realistic, and now to more minimalistic again. But the save button? It's still a floppy disk. So why do they stay the same? It could just be that these icons are simple, intuitive, with good, practical design principles behind them. Icons aren't meant to literally display what they are. But things are changing. Information is sent and stored remotely in a place known as the cloud. Most of the big tech companies have adopted the term to describe what is essentially just a network of servers. It's a vague metaphor and simply insinuates that your files are going somewhere else. Some say the desktop metaphor will be replaced by the cloud metaphor, and wonder if these existing icons will find a place there. Sadly, you won't find the floppy disk save icon in Google Docs anymore. We will continue to be exposed to new icons and graphical user interfaces. Some will be completely new for us, but many will continue to have the same design principles and associations as the icons that have stayed with us over the past 4 decades. And that's pretty good design.